Good evening on this lovely Wednesday, which we were promised the weather was going to get warmer. I'm not convinced yet, as I still have my heater blowing out down by my feet, so I'm hoping everybody else is tucked up warm at home. And those of you with kiddies, it's half term around here, so I'm assuming it is elsewhere, so hopefully kids are having fun and the cold weather's not putting too much of a dampener on things. So this evening, as a request on what we've forgotten or what we've fallen out of love with, what we want to fall in love with again on our crafting side, tonight we are going to be looking at gilding flakes. Now this is something that has been around for a very, very long time. In fact, the stonemasons across the way, they use gilding in the headstones, in the writing and stuff. Obviously they use real gold and size and things like that. Obviously in the crafting market we have, I've got lots to show. So we have adapted them, so they're not pure gold now, they are sort of more of a metallic film. They come in oodles of colours, and we've got an offer on the website until Sunday. It doesn't advertise it on there, but you'll know it from watching this, that if you buy 2 pots, I will put another pot in for free. So let me show you the ones we're going to be looking at. I'll move that out of the way for a minute. So we have got, our pots are the post pots, which means it is a lot of gilding flake but compressed into smaller pots. So I tend to work with them still in these smaller pots, and I'll talk about why I do that as we're using them. But if you prefer, you can decant them into a bigger pot. But a lot of things that people do with gilding flakes, they make a few mistakes with them. Gilding flakes are so delicate, so light. We have to be quite respectful of them. So you cook dinner, concentrate on dinner, don't burn it. Top tip, don't craft and cook at the same time. So let's go to this camera so that we can have a look. So some of these are the colours that I've got on the website. We do have plain gold, plain silver, plain copper, just on their own. And we have ones called sunshine and things, but these are my particular favourites. These are all the variegated. We have variegated copper, that is autumn rose, variegated green, got 2 variegated greens, variegated red, and this is the one I'm going to be mainly using tonight. They're just delicious. Don't actually eat them, that's a metaphorical word. Yeah, so they're just lovely, and you probably do have them lurking in the back of the cupboard. So let's have a little look at what we can do with them. I don't know if I just did the cameras right there, so apologies. Right, also I have spent some time this afternoon getting some more workshops online, and I just wanted to show you, this was something that we did on Saturday's workshop, which was our mixed medium mayhem. And this is not all glued down yet, I haven't glued my picture down, everybody else's is. But I just thought this is something that you might want to add gilding to, although it's got a lot of sparkle and a lot of mica and stuff. But yes, check out the website for the workshops. Hi Maria. Because this was mixed medium mayhem, and we had a whale of a time. We made this fabulous paper in the background here, which I don't know if you can see, but it's all holy and stuff. That was great fun. But I just want to add some gilding flake to, say, round the frame here, which is the sort of place it would be. Now, there's a lot of commercial glues and things like that for you to use. That, I mean, I say the stonemasons will use proper size, which is a glue that remains tacky while you apply the flake. But for crafting, yes, you can buy like your flitter glues and things like that, but I tend to, because I'm not great at remembering to put lids on things, and things like that have a shelf life, they do go off, I tend to just stick to using my normal glue, and because it is less wasteful. I'm not going to have a pot of glue that I'm going to use 2 or 3 times. forget. Hi Maureen, hi Elaine, hi Claire. Yeah, that I'm going to forget about and then waste. So I'm just smearing on a little bit of glue. Whoop. Right. Now, so you can see Gilding Flake is incredibly lightweight. So it just sort of floats about. But what you want to do is just pick up little pinches of it. Don't use it like glitter. Just pick up little pinches of it. And I'm just applying it to where I've put that glue. Okay? So just, and what I love with the variegateds is I can actually pick and choose out of the pot. Now you see, this is a fairly chunky one. We've got, you'll sort of see bigger bits, but you notice I'm not grabbing loads of this. And I just thought this colour really matched in here. So, because I've got a tiny bit of glue on my finger from where I've been doing this, it's just going to help me apply that. Now, the best thing with this is to let the glue dry a little bit so that we can then come in. Now, I am a big loather of scrubbing sponges, the foamy stuff that you use that is quite often in Gilding Flake kits. It is so harsh. You can actually hear it scraping on your Gilding Flake. So I just use a soft blusher brush. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pressing that in. Because I'm doing this on a texture, I'm just using the blusher brush to push that Gilding Flake into the texture of my frame. And then when the glue is a bit drier, I just give it a little dust and it will remove any of these stray specks. Now these stray specks, and you won't have many if you pick it up and do it as a pinch, these stray specks are not waste. But on the same note, they don't go back in your big pot. Okay, you can, I'm going to show you something towards the end, a way of using these up in a nice way. But you don't want to, especially if you've been rubbing this with the brush, you don't want to get those bits back in your pot because sometimes they sort of ball up and they can dull your whole pot. So I would just sort of dust them to one side until we've finished, and then I will find a way to use them. But yes, they're not waste and we've got very little of it, but also they can't go back in the pot, and I can't reiterate that enough. But can you see how by doing it that way, and just, it's really picking up the detail of the frame. Now obviously if I wanted to put more on, I'd just put more glue on and do it. But I'm not using any fancy glue. So that's using it on that little frame there. Okay, I'm going to put that under there. Oh, I say, if you want to come and join it and do a workshop like that, check out the website. It's, I think, next Mixed Media Mayhem is the 5th of April. Is that a Saturday? Right. Do you remember we coffee stained some papers last week? Well, this is one. I want to gild the edge of this. So again, I could come in with my glue, my white glue, but actually what I'm going to do is, believe it or not, I'm going to use a glue stick. Now I have this make, which is Schnock, I don't know how to spell that, SNSPAKE. It's called a mega stick, and I do find them a little bit more sticky than normal Pritt stick, but it's still an adhesive that this would work with. So I would test a little bit on Pritt stick, but I do like this make of glue stick. Okay, so I'm just sort of going around the edge there just with glue stick. Now, because the glue stick has been applied sort of over a, I've not done one bit and then another bit, what it will happen is it will be a little bit dry in places. So what you'll get is an amazing distressed look. So again, I'm getting a pinch and I'm working that along my glued edge. Okay, don't worry about these bits here, we'll come back to them in a minute. A pinch and along there, and you can see it's starting to grab to this glue, and I can feel it, so I can just, those extra bits on the top there, I can flick them along. I will do it with the brush in a minute. I just want to get a little bit on each side. So you can see it starting to cling. Hi, Sue. Right. Okay. Now I'm going to again come in with my blusher brush. And what that's doing is moving bits into the gaps where maybe I hadn't put flake, and also any bits where there's excess on the top, it's moving those as well. I'm going to shut that because I don't want this stuff that's on the table to be contaminated. Now here where I've got quite a bit missing, I'm going to pick up from there, not going to apply more, I'm going to pick up from around the table and work that in. Okay, and you just get this really lovely, because I'm still seeing the paper behind. Don't worry about all these bits here. The fan heater is on the floor. Wouldn't want to do this with the fan heater up on desk height, but it's down fine down there. So I'm working that in. Okay, so don't worry about that. I know it looks like there's a lot of waste there, but that's not going to be wasted. So just working that in. Can you see that lovely finish? If I go to the side camera, bear with me. Can you see that? Doesn't that give a beautiful finish? It's not as garish as having it fully on. It just gives it a really lovely feel to it. Now, and again, because it's like a Pritt sticky that you're using, it's not full coverage, so it has a real antique look. I mean, down here, look at that, it's just lovely. It's not got the harsh straight lines and things like that. You're just getting a really nice finish to it. And as long as you've rubbed it down with your blusher brush, look, little circular motions, the only bits that are coming off are where it's one bit on top of another. Okay, and you've just got, so don't think you've got to rush out and have special glue for it. You don't. I mean, that's just where I was doing it on the I was gluing with the paper underneath. You can see how well the Gilding Flake has taken to that. So think about that. You could use, just going to have a sweep up, going to do something with that in a minute. I'm going to pile it all up in the corner there. I've got a little project for them. Okay, so that's using wet glues. So don't worry if you've got the Gilding Flake and you did buy the glue originally and you're worried that it's going to have dried up. Don't worry, because you can just use your normal glues. The proper glues, so stay sticky for a little bit longer. They don't ever completely dry. So you've got time to apply stuff. So if you're stamping with it and things like that. But say for a lot of things, your normal wet glue will work. Just apply it, let it go a little bit tacky, and then get your Gilding Flake on top. So again, you don't have to worry and rush out and think you've got to buy a special glue for these flakes, because that's what puts a lot of people off. Okay, so that's using a wet glue. The other thing you can use is use double-sided adhesive. So I've got a bit of acetate here, because that's always good on a live camera. Bit of acetate that we can't see, and then I'm going to attempt to peel the back off some double-sided adhesive sheet. And obviously I've got a plaster on my thumb, which makes everything so much more complicated. And I also cut everything to size, which means I'm just setting myself up to stick in the wrong place. So I'm going to peel off both sides. Okay, so one side is stuck to the acetate and one side is exposed and sticky. Let's come in with, should we come in with some variegated green just because we can? Right, so again, pinch and dab across this surface. Okay, pinch and dab. Okay, and all these little loose bits, I'm going to go, now that doesn't look like that's got much coverage, but you'd be surprised. So I'm going to just gently move some of these bits around. So you can see here, there's actually multiple layers there. So I need to move those into the gaps. Now, if you want more gilding flake in there, by all means, after you've done that, go in and do a couple more pinches. But I'm not going crazy. I'm not sort of trying to cover it all. I work it in. So you see already that, so I can see there. Right, I'm at the point now, I think I want to introduce something else. I could keep doing that until it's all gilded, but why be boring and just use one material when I can come in with some mica? So what I'm doing now is I'm dipping my blusher brush in the mica. Okay, and I'm just going to dust that around, and then I'm going to start working the whole thing. So what's happening here is the mica is taking away some of the stick and sticking in areas, and the blusher brush is still working that gilding flake into those gaps. And then you just keep doing circular motions. Now obviously all this dust here, that's mica and gilding flake, still going over into my little pile over there. Okay, give that a little dust. So it's no longer sticky, but you've got this amazing, and it has a translucency to it because we haven't gone too heavy with the gilding flake, but you've got that, it's smooth, all the gilding flake is down into that adhesive, and then you've got both sides. So if I've got my book here, let's see if this, because this would look really nice with a bit of book page just hinting through. Can you see that? Because I've gone with quite a dark mica, but that is just a lovely way of using it. Now obviously you've got a panel there which you could then die cut that up if you wanted to. The Tim Holtz tattered leaves works really nicely for this, or you can add die cuts to the top of it. You know, I've got this like these little hearts. So using double-sided adhesive, and I say you can go completely, and I will in a minute go completely to town with it. Right, close your mica up a second. But yeah, you just, I think the important thing to remember is pinches, little pinches. You don't need to have tons of gilding flake. A little goes a very long way. Right, so talking of adhesive, let's take a little length of parcel tape. Right, and I'm trying to be really good here. And so you might not have double-sided adhesive sheet, but you might well have, now okay, I've got parcel tape which is wide, but you may well have sellotape. Don't curl up on me. You never curl up. Okay, I'm going to just turn it over there so I can fix it to the... let's go with variegated copper. Okay, open it up. This time I am going to put a little bit more on. Okay, a bit of a bigger pinch, but again, work it in. Don't apply more or do anything to finish it off or remove the stick until you have worked those loose bits in. It just reduces how much waste you're going to have. Also, by having a pinch, If you can see, but that's really clumped together. So if I'd have just put that pinch down in one area, all that stuff on the top would have got lost. But by sort of arranging it, so I'm just working that in. Then again, come in with your brush and you'll see the brush starts to, it's not burnishing it down because you don't really want to do that. You don't want to sort of damage the flake in any way, shape or form because it just loses its metallicness. But if you're just using that just to press them into the adhesive so that they're going to hold firm, and you know it's starting to come down because you get this smoothness to it. So I do little circular motions so I know I'm catching all those bits and all those little stray bits that were sitting on the surface work into the gaps on the tape so that you shouldn't have any sticky left and there shouldn't be any gaps. And this is just sellotape. Okay, it's wide parcel tape, but again you've got that lovely look. So again you could come in, add a die cut to it. I'm just using silhouette die cuts because they just really pop against the, and if you're worried about that wearing off, you can actually sandwich it with another bit of tape over the top, but you just get such a beautiful, you see how smooth that goes by working in. Now I know we've got a little bit of waste, but really it's in the grand scheme of Gilding Flake, it's not a massive amount. Don't ever weigh Gilding Flake, you'll be horrified. The boxes, they, believe it or not, Gilding Flake comes in a cardboard box. That's such an unintelligent way to pack Gilding Flake because you open the top and it does seem to defy gravity and floats up. But also they feel like they're empty when they're not. So yeah, might have had a slight miss out with the silver today. But yeah, so that's what you're looking for, that smoothness. But that is a piece of parcel tape. Look how lovely that is. So that over a tag, and you can use either side. But can you see, let me see if I come to this camera. Does that give you a better view? Can you see how smooth that's gone down? And then again, silhouettes on top of that, just as simple as that. Okay, so the important thing to remember is you just need something sticky. Okay, it doesn't have to be fancy, expensive. It can just be as simple as parcel tape or sellotape, or you know, the back of a sticker. If you've got silhouette stickers, use it on the back of those. Talking of stickers, these are, if you can see that, these are white printer ones like we used earlier on. Oh, no, honestly, you can, anything that's got a bit of stick, Elsbeth, anything. Okay, so this is a printer sticker. I have put the mixed packs back on the website just because I thought you might see mileage in this. So you can get 10 sheets of assorted sizes of stickers. So these are the ones that go in the printer. So again, I'm just coming down. So this isn't the strongest of adhesives, but then on the same note, this isn't the heaviest of materials. Do you see there? I had a big piece of copper. I can actually take them and position them exactly where I want. I mean, there's a beautiful rainbow bit there. So you can even do this with the sticker. So you're not missing any tiny little bit. Okay. And then again, just lightly. So at this point, I'm not pressing firmly down. I'm just making sure I'm down to one layer of Gilding Flake. Then once I know that I've got the bits off the top, I can start to work that in. And again, I'm going to come in with a little bit of mica onto this. So the mica's doing two things: adding an extra depth to it, but also if there is an area that you've missed with Gilding Flake, even if it's only a small bit, obviously that's still going to be sticky because we've got the adhesive sticking out. Oh, why can't I? So I've got a sore thumb and it's got plaster on it. It's just making opening these bags really difficult. So Again, a little dusting of mica. So yeah, the mica is going to fill in any gaps that I've missed and add an extra level of specialness, a bit of oomph. Okay, so once we're down to the, and you'll feel it, it's almost like putting talcum powder on. You know, if you used to put talcum powder on the back of tape to make it not stick too much, it gives you that feel. Once we're at that stage, we can then start to do our little circular motions, and it's the circular motions with the blusher brush that makes sure that any stray bits of Gilding Flake that have stuck on top of another bit are moved on, but also it again gives everything that lovely, lovely shimmer. You know, that, and it's just paper on the back now, so easy to attach to a card. Again, I just thought these black silhouettes with that on a nice, where's my coffee stained paper's gone? You know, that's just so opulent, isn't it? And that's just a sticker, an address label sticker. So, you know, just think about, you know, what you've got that's sticky. So double-sided tape, that would work as well. But I mean, you know, I love stickers anyway, but that now, how beautiful is that? So double-sided tape, you could end up making yourself a line of Gilding Flake washi tape almost. You know, get a length of sellotape out and do the whole length of it. It's just, right, I'm just going to make a little pile. So please note, so it all goes in that corner. We'll come back to that in a minute. It's not going to waste. I'm going to move it away a little bit though. Right, so where were we up to? Yeah, so I'm going with acetate again. So again, double-sided adhesive. And peeling off the back, attaching it to some acetate. Now this could be on a piece of acetate directly on a card or anything, but then I've cut out my light bulb, but I've left it as an aperture within my black piece of card. Okay, and then I'm going to apply that. So think of all these dies you've got, apply that over the top. And we're going to come with Autumn Rose now. And again, pinches. I mean, this would look quite good with one of the silver ones. But I'm holding a pinch and dabbing it down. So I've still got that pinch in my hand, so that I'm letting it stick a little bit each time I dab down. Okay, I think that's looking like I've got enough there to go round. So just with my finger, just pushing it around. Okay, then we're ready to come in, because it looks a mess at the moment. Gilding always does. Across at the stonemasons, they have a jar that all the little bits come off after they've done this, because even when they're doing the beautiful lettering, it goes through a stage of looking a little bit messy while they fill in the gaps. Now, the more detailed the image you're doing, the more dust you'll have, because you've had to put more down to get in all the spaces, if that makes sense. So now I'm just working that to see that. See, even there, just to make sure all those lines have appeared. And then you've got a really cool light bulb with all those fabulous colours, all of them totally encapsulated on top of that adhesive sheet. Now, if you've got any cold laminating pouches, you could do the same sort of thing with those, because they're basically little pockets of adhesive. So, you know, think about that as well. I'm getting quite a nice little pile there. Right, let's up the ante a little bit here. How can we use this in a really wow way? So, peeling off my adhesive, and I'm going onto a bit of grey board this time. Doesn't really matter, it just doesn't need to necessarily be see-through. Okay, and then peel off the other side. Right, wasn't happy with how well down that is stuck. That was really bad English, I do apologise. Okay, give that a good old rub. Right, so that's now nice and sticky. So, what colour haven't we used? Variegated green, let's do variegated green. Okay, I'm going to just sort of sprinkle for now. I'll work it in a minute. It's a large area, so. And I don't often do gilding to this large area because it doesn't need it. It doesn't need to be over the top. I'm just coming in with a different colour. Again, I'm just sort of sprinkling. Really could do without the plaster on my thumb because Gilding Flake does seem to like to stick to that. Okay, that is way plenty. Except I really like that rainbow bit in there. There we go. That's what I do. So just, again, start working it with your fingers. And again, dusting. So I'm not pressing the brush into the adhesive here. I'm just getting those bits of Gilding Flake that are just hanging around, just getting them worked in. And if I wanted to, if I think maybe I need a little bit more of Gilding Flake, I could. But let's just look at this corner down here. So I'm just taking all these little bits that are coming off the top here and working them in, and it's starting to fill in those gaps. Right, I think I'm going to go one more little pinch. I just love the colour of that one. So this is from Autumn Rose. So I'm picking out just little bits that I like. Okay, work those in. I think with Gilding Flake, we can take our time with it. The more you work it, the more impressive it becomes. Right, so still got a lot of sticky there. But let's come in with, so I've got a green and a red colour going on there. So, bags. Honestly, do apologise. What did you do? I watched Ali open a bag. Right, so a bit of green and a little bit of red. Oh, might just go with green. It'd be easier than having to try and open this bag. It's only because I've got a plaster on my thumb. Okay, and a little bit around there. Now let's work that all in together. Okay. So again, that mica is going to be filling in the gaps, but it's not going to overpower the Gilding Flake because we'd already worked the Gilding Flake in a bit. Okay, so just making sure once we've got all the adhesive covered with something, we can then come in and start to buff it. And as tempting as it would be to grab one of those sponges that you get in kits, they are just so scratchy. You can barely hear the brush on here. And if you need to buff it, the most you would ever buff it with is some light tissue. Because you just can hear it scratching your flake. See, no scratches, look at that. So beautifully and shiny. I am going to use a little bit of tissue just because there might be some residue of mica on top there. Just giving it a little polish. and you've got the most amazing board created. See the colour of that? Going to go to side camera so you can really see. And the mica just, obviously mica gives it an iridescence. Gilding Flake gives it a metallic. And you just get, there you go. Look at that. Right, why do I keep leaving my glue in the side camera? Right, I do need to have a tiny bit of a dust up. I don't mean a fight. Right, whoop, over to there we go. Right, let's use this as a background. Now, this is one of those techniques I would normally do with my filler, but I can't find my pot of filler. So I am using a commercial texture paste, shall we say. But yeah, you just want a white texture paste. And craft like no one's watching. Possibly not the best thing to have on when you're supposed to be having people watch on a Facebook Live, but you know. So I'm just going across with this texture paste. And I'm not overly thinking about it. Just making sure that I've got it in all the gaps I want. Now I don't want to have any of the craft like no one's watching, so I'm just going to stop at that point, which is why I'm using my finger. Now obviously if you're not happy using your finger for things like this, by all means use a scraper, a butter knife, you know, anything, old piece of plastic, you know, anything that you've got if you're not happy doing this. But I kind of find it a little bit enjoyable, because I've also got control. Me wielding a tool isn't always, you know, as controlled as maybe it could be. Just ask my plants in my garden when I'm pruning. Right. Put the lid on that before we do anything else. And I am just going to wipe my fingers a little bit, only because I'm going to be handling Gilding Flake again in a bit. Right, so while the stencil is still in place with all the muck on it, we're going to come in with some black paint, and we're going to go across the top of everything. Now obviously this is a white texture paste, so don't overwork it. You just really want to get a layer of black going across the top here. Okay. And also, you know, just treat the whole thing as one. Don't try and just focus where the stencil is or anything, because you just want to get it all covered. Okay. If it goes a little bit grey, just put a little bit more black paint on. Okay. Right, once you've got it all nicely covered, what you're then going to do is very carefully lift the stencil off. And what you'll find is, because the texture paste is dimensional, as you cut through it, as you lift the stencil, can you see you get that white, there you go, you get that white edge that makes it really, really pop. And as that dries, you've got that black with that white edge. It is just absolutely amazing. I'm just going to turn, believe it or not, I'm going to turn the heater off. There's a shocker, I'm actually warm. Now obviously we've got this stencil that's all muckied up. So you could come in with a piece of paper and just lay that down and then work that in. I would normally do this on a scrap piece of paper in case I don't like what I've done, rather than one I've already decorated, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm just going to work that in. Okay, and then lift that away. So we've got something else that we could work with. We've still got some muck on there. So we can come in again just on a scrap piece. And all I'm doing here is I'm cleaning my stencil. But you end up with things that may well be usable. Okay, one more, and then my stencil's pretty clean. Quick wipe over later. And it's certainly not going to stick to anything in the meantime. You know, and you've got all these just from the clean up. So let's put those to one side and let's see where we're up to with our techniques. So that is the one that we showed as an example of the sort of things we'd be doing tonight. I just adore that technique because the wow you get, which way did I go? That way. It just makes it so crisp from something so messy. I absolutely adore that. Right, talking of messy, we've got all this stuff here in the corner and I don't want to waste it. So what I want is, I had a black piece. Where is it? Not there. Don't say I've lost it. I had a black piece of die cut waste that I was going, there it is. So after I was die cutting, I had this lovely shape left over and I thought, that would be handy. So I'm going to take my parcel tape. Again, you could use sellotape if you haven't got the nice wide stuff. And you want a bit big enough to go across that hole. Okay. Now, word of warning, get it loosely stuck down, then turn it over to press down. Don't be tempted to press down at this point, because what we're wanting to do is use this to clean up some of this. So what we're going to do is we're then going to press our tape into our waste. Okay. See, it's picked up all that, and then we can work it in again with our fingers. And you get these fabulous little panels. There you go. That can just be a little topper, trim it down, and you've got that lovely gilding flake all captured and not wasted. I haven't got another one, but I have got this, which is a piece of die cut that I've just sort of die cut netting. And I think that might be really cool. So again, take your parcel tape, attach it a little bit, flick it over, and then press down. This is a bit trickier because it's sort of a net version, but I'm then going in to all this fabulous stuff that's in the corner here. I don't want it back in the pot because you can see it's a little bit powdery. It's not the nice flakes that we want. We don't want to contaminate and then work that in. And I mean, you could just use a piece of parcel tape that will give you one like we had earlier. But just smooth that down because that's got a wrinkle in it. But look how lovely that is. Trim that excess off and you've got another really nice usable piece to go in a journal or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just going to take a piece of parcel tape now and or sellotape, or even one of the stickers. Let's do one of the stickers because this is something you might have lurking around because we've only used one off that sheet. So just see, it's picking up all those bits. It's no different to using sellotape to get dog hair off. But it just means that all those bits that would have otherwise been swept into the bin, or I mean, not the prettiest, because we're down to the really little bits, but still really usable piece there. Okay, so I'm going to do one more just to save all those bits, and then we'll have a look at what we've got. Okay, so it's picking up the mica as well. But look, so those are all bits that up until a few minutes ago were just sitting in the corner there. We'd already used most of the bits for, you know, proper projects, so to speak. But I think this is people's biggest concern with Gilding Flake, is that it's not the cheapest of material and you don't want to waste any. Well, you don't. Just use something sticky. And okay, it's not the most sparkly, and this is why I always say don't put this sort of Gilding Flake back in your pot, because it's not the sparkliest, but it almost has a rusty feeling to it, which again is really lovely. So let's see where we're up to on all our components that we've got. So let's have a quick recap for those that have only just come in, Carolyn, and look at how we could use some of these to make up some little projects. Do you remember the bits I did last week at the end with all the things I piled up? I just wanted to show you, just by adding a little leaf to them, look how effective they came out. So, you know, right, let's go right back to the beginning where we started with adding some Gilding Flake to one of our canvases. So just a bit of glue around, just to add a bit of extra depth, because that's what this was lacking, was sparkle. But yeah, so just applying a little bit of glue and then putting our Gilding Flake into it. And then we started looking at the fact that we could use it with glue stick. And I love that effect down the edge. It's got that worn, you know, it's like it's been thumbed through. Look at the state of my hands. You know, it's just got a beautiful distress feel, and that you can see it is on there, and that is just with glue stick. Then we started playing with double-sided adhesive sheet, okay, and using that to capture it. Then we're like, okay, what if you haven't got double-sided adhesive sheet? Using parcel tape, using stickers. Yeah, that's just a white sticker. You've got all these bits. And then using double-sided adhesive sheet with die cuts. You've got both sides to that. Then obviously using it with the micas on double-sided adhesive sheet, and then that beautiful technique over the top to make it pop. But what I would do with these little bits here, I want my book, just because I think I need a cleaner space to work in. Right, so I did die cut earlier, just some little hearts and things like that. You could stamp and heat emboss on top of these, but I just think a black die cut would look really nice. I'm going to trim the top off that, because do you remember I turned that over so it would stick down, and then I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue to the back of that. I'm just working in this book as it is. Okay, come on, glue. So obviously now everything that's got the Gilding Flake on is no longer sticky, so you will have to add an additional adhesive to it. But then that little black heart die cut just on the top there, and I would add some, you know, some doodling. Where's that paint pen I had last week? You know, so straight away you've got a really nice start to something there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue along there. So that panel of, and again, you could put, instead of sticking the tape in, you could make the hole in the book and then have the Gilding Flake adhere to that. So very, very simple. Again, I think that's my one that ran out last week. I would just frame it off. I had a lovely black paint pen. Don't know what I've done with that. But just frame that off. So very simply. Again, these stickers, a bit easier to attach down because they're just paper on the back. But so you've got the one that we did properly, and then these two mop-up ones. But I kind of like the mop-up ones as well. So again, just using them to create these little backgrounds I mean, how simple is that, but how effective? And this is the proper one. You know, I think that would be really lovely with a poppy. A poppy, hang on. Have I got my poppy still from last week? Might not have it. You know, or the dandelion across it. And having that beautiful panel of colour there. Just that super sparkle. Again, matte it onto a bit of black. You've got these beautiful things that are so easy to use now. And then you've got our little heart with a bit of tape behind it. Or this little panel. Trim it down squarer. Obviously you would use a trimmer and not just do it by eye with a pair of scissors. I think that would be really nice. There again, maybe cut the heart out of a different colour. Or again, have a little flower or something across it. This one, I definitely think this needs cut down a little bit. But I really love the effect of that. I'd have that in the corner of a canvas or something, you know, with something, a flower or something coming across it. Just a very bold silhouette across. But again, these are bits we've used to mop up. That would lend itself to being stamped. The only reason I sort of err away from stamping is because you're stamping onto a surface that might not be particularly accepting to ink. It would be okay with your StazOns and things like that, but it might struggle with other things. So, and then obviously if you've messed it up, you've messed up your Gilding Flake as well. So I would go with stickers, die cuts and things like that. I mean, you know, a little die cut across, again, you know, maybe a heart, start, you know, messing about. And the other thing with die cuts is you can lay them down, or again, if you've got silhouette stickers, you can lay them down and see what you've got to play with. So that's all the techniques I wanted to share with you tonight. Has anybody got any questions about Gilding Flake? Any queries? Any news? Just, you know, while I'm here, because we have sort of officially got I mean, I know I don't say I have to be an hour, but you know, I just I like to try and make sure that you've got plenty to go home with. Also, quick reminder, there is still a chance to book on this Sunday's junk journaling online workshop. I know lots of you have already signed up for it, and I have put a card making online workshop on the website as well, so that we've got something in April. So yeah, so there's that, and I've put up another, Mixed Media Mayhem, all sorts of different bits and pieces, workshops going up on the website, so that we've got, and I'm trying to make sure that I do an online workshop every month. So for those people that can't get down to do an in-person one, you can do an online workshop. So has anybody got any questions? No, I will do a quick recap then on the colours of the Gilding Flake. I mean, just look at that. I mean, that's me just literally laying them down. But, you know, things like this, that little panel could be so many things. You know, have a nice sentiment across that. You know, just have it. It can be cut up as well. You know, that's something we didn't do, is die cut sticker. And then, you know, apply the Gilding Flake to that. You can do that really easily. Except my die cutters, well, die cutters downstairs. Got grand caliber under there, but my little one's downstairs. You know, so just, yes, you can come and play, Maria. Yeah, flakes are beautiful. Don't be afraid of them. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid of them. That it's so easy to sort of buy them because they look pretty and they're lovely in the pots, and then be afraid to get them out and use them because you don't want to waste them. Them sitting in the pot is a waste as well. But the fact that you don't have to have the proper glues and things like that. The advantage of the proper glue is that you can stamp with it and then have a highly detailed image, you know, with it stamped. But the disadvantage is if it goes off, it's gone off. So if you can do all of these things without it, you know, you're just getting much more mileage out of your, yes, you'll be able to watch later. And I will also, again, download it and upload it to YouTube so that you can watch it on your big screen if you've got that facility. The only thing is, sometimes it seems to want to upload really quickly. Other times it can take 24 hours for it to upload. So just watch this space. But yeah, so don't be afraid of Gilding Flake, and don't be afraid to use it with anything sticky. Those people that came on Saturday when we were using cornflour glue, I meant to have a go and see if it would work with that. I think it certainly would, because it's an adhesive. So, but yeah, just quick recap on some of the colours, the really nice colours. Autumn Rose, variegated green again, variegated red, and variegated copper. For every 2 pots you buy on the website until Sunday, I will throw in another colour for you. It will be a different colour to what you've ordered. Yeah, address labels. Honestly, I think address labels, Sue will vouch for this, address labels is one of my sort of favourite crafty things, because they just lend themselves to doing so much. We had a wonderful last half an hour to 3/4 of an hour on a workshop playing with address labels and Gilding Flake and mica. When I do an all-day workshop, I tend to try and make the last hour or so a little bit more finishing up and using up what we've got. The running joke is you're not allowed to throw anything in the bin. Poor Gemma this week. But yeah, so just address labels, because straight away you've got a nice little straight edge, and you know there's so much you can do with them. So hopefully this means that you're going to get your Gilding Flakes out and use them, because they are so beautiful. They're so different, and I think they have an opulence to them, but not over the top, if you know what I mean. They're like a high quality glitter. They have that sparkle, but also the way they go down and the sort of the grain you get within them. And I didn't even address the fact that you can also use them alcohol inks on them. So once you've got a panel down like that, you can drop your alcohol inks onto them as well, which is amazing in itself. And then if you have rusting powder, that creeps across them and adds a patina to them that's just amazing. So yeah, I hope that's shown you a few things that you can do with Gilding Flake and sparked your imagination with them. Next week we will, so is it the last of the, probably do a little bit of a sale next week, because it's the last of the month, and then we'll get ready to kickstart March with spring-like things. But in the meantime, have a good week. We will see you next week, and don't forget, if you want to join us for the Junk Journal workshop on Sunday, pop onto the website, book your place, and it will be a fun day where we just get to be messy and use all sorts of things. I've got so much stashed under here already, pile of stuff at home as well. So in the meantime, don't forget to share your makes within the group, and I will see you next week. So have a good week, be good, and get crafty.